So in this video, we're going to be talking on loops in C. We discussed decision making in C in the last video. So this video, we're going to be discussing loops in C. So loop in C is into, we have the while loop, we have for loop, and we have do while loop. So loop is just like you're telling your computer to do something, to perform a specific task, as long as the given condition is true. Compared to a decision making statement where your computer just decides on some things based on some conditions, and it does something based on the given condition once. But in case of loop, as long as that thing is true, your program will continue to do it over and over again. So rather than saying if 9 is less than 10, it should tell you 9 is less than 10. If you are going to write that kind of condition for a while loop or a for loop, it's going to print 9 is less than 10 for as long as forever, because till whenever 9 is always going to be less than 10. So that way, that is what we call loop. Your program does something for an indefinite amount of time until you specify according to the condition you provide. Until when that condition is false is when it jumps out of the loop. So let's get started with the while loop. So writing while loop in C, the syntax is just your while, then an open and close round brackets and the curly braces. So while loop now is you are going to specify your condition inside here. Condition goes inside here. So you want to tell your program that while this condition is true, whichever condition you are specifying, it should run anything that is inside the opening of this closing curly braces to the close of these curly braces. So meaning if I want to have a program and I'm telling my condition computer, okay, as long as this thing here is true, it should do this. So that way with this kind of program, we can print something for as long as you want. So now imagine you want to print, imagine you're given a task now to print out the number, to print out numbers that are less than 100. Yes, mathematically, numbers less than 100, we can start from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6. But rather than just printing in this program, say print f, you first print 0, you go on another line, you say print f, you print 1, you go on another line, you say print f, you print 2. Rather than doing all those things, you can be so sure of the amount of time you want to repeat it. Even if you can survive doing 0 to 100, what if they tell you to print out numbers from, let's say, 0 to 1000? Then that time you will know the benefit of loops. So instead of writing these codes line by line, you just use a loop in that sense. So yeah, I'm just going to, for this particular solution now, print a numbers that are less than 100. As you know, numbers less than 100, numbers, not negative numbers this time, from 0 to 100 is what I consider, 0 to 99, sorry, because 100 is no less than 100. So yeah, I have to first initialize a number, a variable, sorry, I'll call it num, and I'll give it the value of what, 0. So I want to tell my condition, my while condition here now that, okay, as long as this particular variable number is not equal to 100 yet, meaning as long as this condition, this variable number is less than 100, it should print out that number. So yeah, I'm going to come here and see what, while num, specify my conditions here, less than what, 100. Then inside here, I'm going to be saying what, print %d, because it's an integer variable, and I'll say what, num here. So this program is going to run printing numbers from 0 to 99. So this is how you use the while loop. You say while, then your condition inside this bracket. So the condition here is what, as long as num is less than 100. So yes, 0 is going to be less than 100. So this particular program is just going to print 0, and it's going to give my computer an endless loop. Endless loop in the sense that because I'm not doing anything to the value of num after the program, it's going to continue to do this loop over and over again, and it's not going to stop. If I try running this thing now, you see what will happen. Let me try running it. Okay, so see, it's causing this long lines of zeros on my laptop, and that's because I'm not doing anything as long as the condition is false. I'm not doing anything to make the condition false, sorry. So in that case, in a while loop, you're always going to want to put an action on the variable you're using as a condition in the end. So yeah, the action I want to do here is what I want to increment num by 1 by saying num plus plus. So what this program is going to run now is it has this while loop, meaning run this code as long as what the value of num is less than 100. So now on the first iteration, when it does this program once, when it reads this program at the first time, num is what 0, and 0 is what less than 100. So it means it's going to run whatever is here. So now it prints out what 0 to the screen on this line 13, and it comes down to line 14 and it sees what num plus plus, meaning take the previous value of num, which is 0, and what increment it by 1, add 1 to that number. So from this line 14, the value of num replaces from 0 to 1. So the program will come back to this while loop again and see that okay, num is less than 100, 1 is less than 100. The condition is still true. So you're going to come here and what print num. But instead of printing 0 like it was before, because it already replaced the value of 0 to 1 when it's run this code that time, it's going to be printing 1 to the screen. So on line 13, it will print 1. Then going down to line 14 again, it sees what num plus plus, meaning increments the previous value of num, which is 1, by 1 again. So running it for the second time, running it that second time is going to generate the value of num to be what 2 instead of 1. So now you comes here again and check whether the value of num is still less than 100. So 2 is less than 100. It's going to what print out 2 to the screen, and comes here again and increments 2 by 1, which is 3. So it's going to do that on and on and on until now. Let's get to what, let's say 98. So if it comes here now, 98 is less than 100. Yes, it's going to what print 98 to the screen. And it's going to what increment 98 by 1. So the value of num here is now going to be what 99. It will come here back again. 99 less than 100 is true. Yes, 99 less than 100. So it will what run this line 13, print 99 to your screen, and then it will now what increment 99 by 1. So here incrementing 99 by 1 is going to give us the value of what 100. So when the programmer comes here and sees that okay, while num is less than 100, but now the value of num has been replaced by what 100, because we've done this loop over and over again for like 99 times. So now on the 99th time, it did this num plus plus, and our value for num is now 100. So 100 is now less than 100. So meaning this condition is false. And I told you this while loop will only run anything that is here to here as long as this condition is true. So now that this condition is false, it's going to come back to this line 15 and just end this while statement. And since there's nothing else in our program, it's just going to terminate and close. So running this now is going to run perfectly from 0 to 99, as you can see it here. Okay, let me put a new line from %d here, adding this new line sequence. So running this here now, I'm going to see it has run successfully. From this is the answer here, 99. If I check from the top, I have what 0. So this is how you can write while loop in C. Rather than just writing 0, 1, 2, 3 using the printf function, you can just just this how many lines of code, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just these 5 lines of code has solved a problem that you could have used more than 100 lines for. So that is how you use while loop in C. Now coming to for loop in C. For loop in C can also solve, loops can solve this particular problem, but you just need to pick the one that is very useful for the particular problem you are solving. So for the syntax of for loop is you have for, then a open and close round bracket and a open and close curly braces. But inside of this round brackets, you are going to pass in 3 parameters. Unlike while loop that we consider just one parameter, which was the condition. For loop, you have an initialization, then a semicolon. Then your condition is going to be here. Condition, a semicolon, and what? Let's just say the third parameter in the for loop is going to be something to increment. Let me put it there, incrementation. So what does this do? For the for loop, initialization meaning you have a variable and you're going to initialize it to a value. The variable you're going to be using in this condition is going to be stated here at the beginning of the for loop to tell your program that okay, this is where you should start from. Then after it has started from here, it should follow this condition, and then it should do this afterwards for every time it runs the program. So initialization here, let me just use int num equals 0. So rather than the way we initialized the value for our variable in while outside of the program, for loop is going to be the first parameter I'm going to put inside of this for. So I'm telling my program that okay, num is equal to 0. So now the condition is same condition as long as num is less than 100. Then the third parameter is going to be your incrementation. So here I want to do num plus plus. So it's just like a reduced way of the while loop. Rather than writing those lines of code for while loop, which we use up to like 5 lines. This is just going to consume about 3 lines. So for for loop, this is the perfect syntax. You have your for, the open and the close round brackets, then open and close curly braces. Then inside of the round brackets, you have 3 parameters. The first one being the initial variable value, which is can start from 0, can start from 1, any number you're starting from, but the initial variable value. The second one is the condition. For here we are doing numbers less than 100, and the third one is not iteration, incrementation, meaning either you want to increase it by 1 or increase it by 2, depending on what you are doing. So now printing this out to the screen using printf. So I'll just say printf passing d, a new line, and what num. So this is just going to run like the while loop, because the program is going to start from 0. If it's running this thing for the first time, it sees num as 0. It prints what 0 to the screen. It comes back and it does what num plus plus, meaning increment 0 by 1. So the value of num is now 1. It comes back again. It sees num is less than 100. It prints this program and it does what num plus plus. Value of num is going to be 2. This condition is still true. It prints this program and it does num plus plus up until like 99, where 99 is still less than 100. It prints this 99 and then it does what 99 plus plus, which is 99 plus 1, which is 100. So as long as 100 now is now false to this condition is not going to be true for the value of 100 to num. So if this condition is not going to be true, it's going to come here and terminate this program, and because we don't have anything after this for loop, it's just going to end there and return back to the operating system. So printing this now is going to generate the same thing we had for the while loop. So it's 99 and 0, so 0 to 99 is this program. So that is for the for loop. Now for the do while loop, it's similar to the while loop, but in case of do while loop, for while loop, as long as your condition is not true, it won't run. It's only when your condition is true that it's going to run. Only when your condition is true that it's going to run. But for the do while loop, you can use, for the do while loop, it's always going to do the first iteration whether or not the condition is true. So the syntax for do while loop is you have your do, you open and close curly braces, then you have while afterwards. So as you can see here, the operation to be performed is first compared to the condition. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So you have your do, meaning do whatever is inside of this opening and close curly braces while this condition is true. Condition is going to be inside here, sorry. While this condition is true. So your C program actually reads your file from top to bottom. That's why you can initialize a variable at the bottom and expect to call it at the top. So if you initialize the variable at line 12, you can't call it at line 9. You have to initialize at line 9 and call it at 12 because your program reads from top to bottom. So following that is the same reason why your do while loop is going to run for every iteration, because you're telling it to do something here without it knowing the condition. So it's after it has done it for the first time, it's going to check for the condition later on. So it's now, if the condition is true or not, it's now going to decide whether it's going to run this thing again or not run it again. So now let's go with an example. This same example now. And I want to do what? Print. Let me first do for the false one. Let me say print what? Should print. Let's say print hello there to the screen. So printing hello there to the screen. Now let me not give it a condition that is not going to be true. Let me first initialize the variable. Yeah, this one, you have to initialize the variable before you use it for the do while loop, similar to the while loop. So let me say int num is equal to 10. So now I want to give it a condition that what, as long as num is less than 11, sorry, let's say greater than 11. I don't want it to be true. Yes, 10 is not greater than 11. So following, well, if you are using while loop or for loop, this condition is not supposed to run because 10 is not greater than 11. But because you are using a do while loop, it's going to run this program first, and after running this, it will now check whether num is actually greater than 11. So if num is not greater than 11, it's now going to stop the program, but it will have done this first. So running this now, I'm going to see it's going to print hello there, and it stopped. Why? Because the condition afterwards is not true. But if I have, okay, let's say less than, and let me try to print numbers in now, just like the way we did then. Let me do percent d. Let me just print, let's say, first 5 numbers. Let me say num. So yeah, let's start from 0. Let's start from 1. And I want to tell it what, as long as it is less than 5 or less than 6, sorry, since I'm printing for 5 numbers. So as long as, yeah, this program now is do what, this, as long as this is true. So do means print number which is going to start from 1 as long as what, the number is less than 6. And after this you have to do what, specify the, you have to specify an increment by doing num plus plus. If not, your program will just run till eternity and infinite loop, because forever and ever 1 is always going to be less than 6. But as long as you put this num plus plus, it means after every iteration, after every time you run this program, it's going to be updating the value of num by 1. So that way, if num is going to be equal to 1 at first, running it for the second time is going to be equal to 2, running it for the third time is going to be equal to 3. So running for like the 6th time, the value is going to be equal to 6. So that way 6 cannot be less than 6, and then the program is going to break. So running this now, you're going to see it gives me what? It brings 1 to 5 to the screen. Let me add a new line. Let me add a new line here. So /n. So printing this now is going to give me 1 to 5 to my screen, as you can see here. But he actually printed this 1 first without even checking whether the condition is true. If I change this condition now to something that is not true, let me say greater than 6. As you know, the condition here is num greater than 6. So for here, this is num is 1. 1 is not greater than 6, right? But because this is dual loop, it actually prints the first thing, which is 1. Then after printing 1 here, it now saw that okay, this condition is actually not true. Then the program terminates itself. But if I change it back to less than, as long as it has printed this first one, and then it sees that the condition is true, 1 is less than 6, then it's going to continue it for as long as num is going to be less than 6. So compared to while loop or for loop, that won't run if the iteration is wrong. Do while loop will always run for the first iteration, then checks if the condition is actually true or not. Then if the condition is true, it continues. If the condition is not true, it doesn't continue. So that is all for looping in C. And thank you guys for watching. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel so as to get updated as soon as I release videos concerning this particular course and other things. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.